Hello and welcome to another tutorial. This one isn't specifically AGK or anything like that, it's more actually to do with first person shooter creator reloaded. But obviously you could use it probably in AGK version 2 when shaders are actually implemented, and you could certainly use it in Dart Basic, that sort of thing, or any other, Unity or whatever you prefer, whatever's your bag. But this basically is going to be for first person shooter creator reloaded, but also for the Gimp, obviously, because you're going to need the Gimp to do this. And it's basically adding normal maps to your objects, getting an object and adding a normal map. If you don't know what a normal map is, basically it allows it to fake depth and reflection and just make a surface look way better than it would without one. But obviously if you're watching this you probably know what a normal map is, so we'll get into it. So you can see here I've got a web shot, I've got a screenshot of my browser, and this is where I downloaded it from. I believe it's been a while since I downloaded it, but I'm pretty certain it was off Google Code. You'll see there's several versions here to download. First one's obviously for Linux, the second one's for 32-bit systems, and the third one's for 64-bit. So for most people it's going to be Windows 64 these days. So that's the one you want to download. Once you've downloaded it and you've extracted it, I'm sure you know how to extract it, a zip file, then you'll get that, which is basically some DLL files and an exe, and a readme telling you where to put these files. I'm going to quickly show you where to put these files. So here we go, this directory here in the Gimp. So you go to program files, Gimp 2, lib for libraries, Gimp 2 plugins. Just make a note of that, search for it, and that's where you will paste the normal map exe application. And then here in just a bit simpler, program files Gimp 2 bin, you just paste the 3 DLLs. So these 3 DLLs here you'll paste straight into here. Once you've done that, if you've done it right, which you should have done, it's really easy, you can go into the Gimp. I can close that off now. Yep. I hope I don't need to save it, because then I'm going to have to restart. Oh dear, I forgot about that. Anyway, right, yeah, so this is an image I've loaded in of a scene from FPS Creator. It's room 1, it's one of the packs you can buy, it's one of the packs I've got. Basically it looks pretty good in FPSC, but it'd look better with a normal map. So let's try and make a normal map for this one. Now if you've installed it all correctly, you should be able to go to filters and map, and you should see normal map there. So normal map is the option we're going to be using, but not yet. Not yet. First of all, I like to make a copy and do something. We've already got a diffuse map, this is what we're working off, but I like to make some copies of it. So we'll go into layer and duplicate it twice. That way we've got 3, and we can have all the maps. So we can rename this, just call that diffuse, because that's what it is. Doesn't really matter what order you do these in. Then rename that, we'll call that normal, and this one we'll call specular. Move it across a bit so you can see it. Yeah, so basically what we've got the main diffuse map, which is this one, we've got the normal and the specular. Obviously they're all the same at the moment, and we're looking at all of them. So if we go to specular, if we just make sure we can't see any of those, we're going to specular. A specular map, basically you just need to make it black and white at its basics. I'm no incredible artist, there's probably fantastic ways of doing this, but all I do is desaturate. I've tried either one, it doesn't make a lot of difference, but again, I could be wrong. I'm no expert, I'm showing you the basics. So okay, so that's now good enough. The dark parts and the light part, it depends how light and how dark it is, how sort of reflective it is. The darker it is, the less reflective. So if you wanted to, you could sort of adjust it again. I don't know, add just colours, brightness, not the brightness down, contrast up. That way you'll get more detail with the bits that you want that may want to be a bit shinier. But you know, you can play around with this. I'll leave it like that. There we go. That's specularity done. Now normal, we just make sure we can only see that one. Be back to that. Now I'm not 100% if I need to do this, but I always just do the same with that. I'll just desaturate it. Yeah. I don't know whether you need to, but I'm pretty certain you do for a better result, but it will work with either way. But yeah, I'll just make sure it's black and white again, and then you go into filters and map and normal map. Now that'll bring up this little thing. Just click 3D preview and we'll have a picture of this. Now we can left click and spin it about. We can zoom in, I think, yeah, with a right click and moving the mouse, and you can see, well, you might not be able to see. Let's make it a bit bigger. Well, that's a lot bigger. There, it sort of looks like it's got, you know, that's just an image, and it looks like it's got a bit of depth, but it's not particularly standing out at the moment. So in here I'm going to knock the scale up a bit, because it's a bit low. I'm going to leave that at 0. I'm going to knock the scale up, and as I do, you can see it's adding in detail to this. There's all sorts of options. I mean, get to that will change instantly. That looks really sort of embossed, but I'm just going to leave it on for sample for now, because that tends to work reasonably well anyway, and the other ones can look a bit weird. It might work, depends what effect you want. You can play around with it, but I'll knock the scale up. I'm going to knock it up to about 10. Doesn't make too much difference after there, and you can go too far. 14. I want to just make sure it definitely shows it, and you can see it sort of looks embossed. It's nothing like it was. So now you see I've got these maps here, and you've got the diffuse map and gloss map here. So you can just select this and go diffuse, and all of a sudden we have colour. Doesn't look exactly super 3D, but we have colour, and you can see there is an embossed effect on it. And then we go for the specular map here, and then again you can't see a massive amount. Now I'm not sure again whether this is needed, but I always do it anyway. Click specular lighting, and then all of a sudden we've got glints. Now fair enough, the background shouldn't glint like that, but we're not worried about that bit. It's only the walls that are going to be an issue. And I'm not showing you how to make great maps, just how to make them. It's up to you to play around. You can drag this up and down, that'll make it sort of even shinier, but only in certain places, and this sort of spreads it, so it'll be more shiny all over. But yeah, it doesn't look very good on this image actually. We'll see how it comes out anyway. So yeah, I'm going to leave the specular lighting sort of semi-default. Doesn't normally do much to play around with it, but yeah, once you're happy with that, you can play around with the colours here, but again I'm not certain whether that will make a vast difference, so I'll just leave it at white anyway. That's good enough. Click OK, and it's transformed it into this purple mess, but that's what we want. It looks embossed just looking at it like that, so you can see it's going to do something to it, and that's pretty much it. You can now just you can just save that as it is, so we'll save it because it is important how you do it. Export it, I should say, in Gimp. So you click export, that's what it's called at the minute, .png. Now we could change it to a DDS, but we can leave it as a PNG if we want, but I'll use DDS because it just works out of the box better. So we'll export it as DDS, but not there. Or do I want it? No, that's fine. I'm going mad. Right now, you can see it's saying as volume map. You don't want that. That does not work. Selected layer. Generate bitmaps. I select it. You can choose whether you want to or not. Okay. That's saved that particular one, and you just do the same for the rest. So make sure that's visible. Get the specular. Export that. Oh, I forgot to rename it on the last one. Yeah, it's important to put an _s for the specular as well. So I missed that on the last one. Export, come on, and make sure it's selected layer. Okay. And the same for the diffuse. You don't actually have to save the diffuse because we've already got the diffuse. So that's not really a major problem. So yeah, that's all ready to go. And I should be able to load this into FPS Creator now. Once I rename that this file. Sorry, let's just do that. Export, and it's not S here. We want N for normal map, and make sure it's selected layer. Okay. Right. So now, hopefully, in here. We've got the normal and the specular that's been put in. We can leave that one. I wouldn't normally save that, but you know, that's just part of the process when I'm doing my own work, not when I'm converting something else. So yeah, we're ready to get into FPS Creator. So here we go. Right, but before we go into FPS Creator, we need to just do a little bit of messing about. So we've got the FPE file here that's part of it, so we'll open that up. And at the moment it's using that, which is fine because that's the one it's using, standard diffuse map. But the effect bank is not quite right. We don't really want to use this one. This is an old one. So I've got the basic line here copied. I've got that saved. I don't ever have to remember that one. And just copy over that, paste it down. So you just put it into this directory, effect bank reloaded entity basic.fx. That will use FPS Reloaded's new shaders for it. And I think that's pretty much it for that. So we'll save that and close it. So that should be ready to go in FPS Creator. We'll soon find out. If not, then it's a good way of showing you where you can go wrong and how you have to rectify it. So here we go. FPS Reloaded, we're in. Oh no, go away, I want your full screen. So let's add a new entity, and I've saved this in a little file called user, and it should be listed in here somewhere. Where am I? I can't see it. So that's a good start. Oh no, room 1, there we go. There we go, room 1. Okay. Pop it in. Does it look like it's working? Doesn't look like it's working, but we'll see. Just put a player start in here. And right, ready to go. Okay, let's have a look. Now I'm aware that FPS is probably going to be lousy on this, and well, now that looks pretty not working. Or is it? Let's just make sure. But you can normally tell pretty much straight away that it's working, and that appears not to be. I would say definitely not. I'm having a good scan. You're normally telling these bits easy. Now it just looks blurry and yucky. So this is just how it looks. This is just how that object looks anyway. Or does it? It might look better, to be honest, before I messed with it. Good tutorial is how to mess up your textures. Right, well, no. Can't tell. perhaps do plonking a couple down. But to me that looks, no, it's not worked. It has not worked at all. So that's always a good start. So right, let's minimise that down. Where have we gone wrong? It could well be the naming of them, because I'm using, let's added a few files in here. Let's get rid of, no, in fact let's not get rid of that. Just make that a bit bigger. Right, so it could well be getting a bit confused with this name here. I've got a feeling it could well be. So we'll just do the simple thing, rename that, get rid of this D2 nonsense and just have that. Same with that one. Probably confusing it, at a guess. And I'm just going to rename that one as well, because that is what I would normally do. So let's try that. Okay, now because it's run it, we need to get rid of those two files, the bin file and the DBL file. Delete those, and we're away. I've got to close FPS reloaded, I believe, and then I'm going to restart it again. Right, we're back in, and I already know it's not going to work. I already know, and I can't believe it, but we'll go anyway. Room 1, blob. Oh dear, it's gone black. It's gone black, black, black. But yeah, that's not going to work. Okay, so we'll close that off again. No, I don't want to save. And why did that go black? Because I've changed all this, and I haven't changed the FPE. So let's just get that working. Thank you. Alright, hopefully this will work. Oh my god. Save. Like I say, it's good. I've decided to do it like this because I know, you know, it's what a lot of people will go through when they're messing around. So let's load it up again. Doobie doobie doo. This is why I didn't want to do it before, but I can't be bothered to stop and restart and everything this time. So add new entity into a user and ruin 1. Looks good. Whoa, daddy. Let's zoom in a bit, but that's looking better already. Okay, plonk. I'm going to put a couple about so we can see what's going on. Hey. Right, I'm pretty certain that's working better. So we'll play a start in, and yeah, I'm going to record it. I'm going to do this with a better software because it always runs rubbish and I want it to run smooth, and I'm pretty certain that's going to work. So 2 seconds. Right, well, as I decided not to record my voice the first time, I'm going over this again, but it did work. You can see when I look round, it's definitely added some texture and weirdness to the texture. It's not as it was. The normal map has worked, it's just not brilliant, as you can see. Get a bit close. Yes, you can see it's got texture and depth looking, but it's very odd indeed. But there we go. That's just a quick demonstration of how you can do it, how you can add normal maps in. And obviously at this point you'd think, right, okay, it's worked, but I'm not happy with that, and you just go back to the drawing board, go and change the brightness a bit of the opacity map, dear me, the specularity map. You know, and play around, reduce the scale. The scale was too high, 14 was way too high, and play around with the specularity and just see if it works. There's not much more you can do, but that is basically how you do it, and you can see it has improved. It works better with the lighting. It's just all round slightly better looking, but it definitely needs a bit of work on that. That was just the first attempt. And that's how you do it. You have to take ages, hours and hours. you can spend on just one object. Once you get better at it, once you've sort of learnt the sort of brightness levels you want, and to get into, you get faster and faster as things go on. Like I said, that was my first quick attempt. I knew it wasn't going to work. I definitely exaggerated some things just to make sure it was easy to see, because sometimes it's quite subtle, which is really what you want. But obviously in a video like this I wanted to be able to make sure it works, and I can see it worked. So yeah, I can see it worked, and it's odd, slightly odd, but yeah, it's definitely working better with the lights. Definitely you can see the strangeness to it, but the scale is way too high on that, and I didn't take any time at all with the specularity map. Like I said, you can play around with that. You can make the contrast less so that everything's more grey and less shiny, and you can play around all sorts. I'm sure there's many ways to do it. So I hope this helped, and until next time, I'll catch you later.